And I've always had like a kind of curvy figure, but I didn't really like my butt. And suddenly I was playing derby. My butt, which had been always my thing, like, oh, hide that, was suddenly this tool and was capable of actually being useful in this sport. And that taught me to really love that part of myself. I'm Olivia, and I'm 47.
And how would you describe yourself?
I would probably describe myself as a mum, a friend, a daughter, sister. My father is Australian. My mum is Māori and English and Irish, so I'm part Māori, half Australian, a little bit of everything.
How does it feel to be 47?
How does it feel to be 47? Not too different from 46,
Yeah.
to be honest. It doesn't, I don't really know how you expect it to feel when you're 47. I feel like quite fit and strong and healthy, which hasn't always been the case, but that's how I feel today and at this moment.
Are you afraid of getting older, or when you were younger, were you afraid of getting older?
When I was younger, I probably didn't really think about it. But now, I'm not afraid of getting older. I think probably the one thing that I'm afraid of about getting older is probably the thought of losing my marbles, probably. Not so much my looks, but not being able to remember things and not being able to have that mental capacity. I think like there was a period of time where I would have been quite worried about my physicality and the way that I looked and how I was presented. But I have friends whose parents have dementia and just kind of seen that they look, actually she looks gorgeous and she looks young, but actually she's just not there at all. And that she doesn't know who her daughter is. She doesn't know who her grandkids are. She doesn't know sometimes who her husband is. Like those things are that sense, that loss of family and that loss and sense of self.
How has your perception of beauty evolved over the years, and what factors have influenced that change?
I played roller derby for like 11 years, and it was probably joining roller derby. It actually taught me that there are lots of different body shapes and different types, and they all actually have a function and a way to be when you're on the roller derby track. And I've always had like a kind of curvy figure, but I didn't really like my butt. And suddenly I was playing derby. My butt, which had been always my thing, like, oh, hide that, was suddenly this tool and was capable of actually being useful in this sport. And that taught me to really love that part of myself. Before that, I was quite self-conscious and didn't actually feel very confident in my body or in myself at that time. Starting derby was like such an eye-opener. It was like this group of strong women who had these ideas about how women could use their body in a contact sport that was just for women. There was no male telling you how to, to do this better. It was women saying, like, actually, your butt is like the best asset that you have, and you should be using that to get across the track and block that jam. Whereas before, they might have, like a male might have said, oh, actually, like, you probably need to slim down. It was such an amazing time.
What beauty standards did you grow up with, and how have they impacted your self-image?
So I can always remember my mum. And from various times, she's a great mum, but various times in her life being on a diet, like going to Weight Watchers or going to Jenny Craig. Well, Jenny Craig was a big thing in my family growing up, I guess. Like my mum was on it, my sister was on it, I went on it after I had my son, which is like ridiculous because I was 20 and had just had him, and again, single parent, didn't really feel very confident. probably wasn't overweight at all, just like had given birth, but the societal pressure to look this way and be this way if you're single. So I remember that seeing something that was always in there. And so I guess that diet culture was a part of my growing up. The celebrities at that time were like Kate Moss, and they were thin, and that heroin chic was kind of in, and that was the kind of thin was what you aspired to.
Looking back on that now, how do you feel about those beauty standards now?
I think they are terrible, really destructive, because you have a thought in your head which followed me like right up until I did derby. You're not considered beautiful because like you had freckles, or you're not considered beautiful because you had a curvy figure, or this is what you should be aspiring to, that kind of thin, no boobs, no ass kind of body. Always kind of felt like, I'm not, I'm not what is considered beautiful, I guess. But I would look at my sisters. When I think of my older sister, she's short and she's got curves, but they were kind of slimmer and stuff, and she had these beautiful cheekbones. And same with my other sister, who's the one above me. She was tall and she didn't have a butt that stuck out like mine did. They're both gorgeous in their own way, but they would look at me and say the same thing. Oh, you're so curvy, you've got that kind of nice waist. And I would, in my mind, go, oh, they're just saying that because they are my sisters, and that's not the reality is not that. The beauty industry is a male-generated kind of concept, I guess, and that male gaze has been is from young kids, or from my generation, you kind of like that is brought into it, like the male gaze. Oh, you want to look good for that guy, or oh, he won't like you if you put on weight. I remember my best friend, a guy commenting on her, oh, you'd look great if you lost 10 kilos. Like, she was stunning. And if she lost 10 kilos, she would have been anorexic, like that kind of thing. But that sticks in your mind, like, oh, that's what we should be aspiring to, is to be super skinny. And I do think that you're trained from a young age, well, my generation trained from a young age for the male gaze. That's who you're trying to impress if you're a straight woman, I guess. And it has warped and shaped so many women's minds around what beauty is, that actually, I don't know, in a straight white culture, that's so detrimental to women. It's ridiculous. All the beauty things, there's a man behind it. They might have a woman as the face of it, but actually the men are saying what is or isn't beautiful. And there is no money for somebody to say you are perfect the way that you are. There's absolutely no money in that. Yeah, and that's what it's about, right?
Do you feel pressure to look younger than you are?
Not anymore. I feel probably hitting my 40s, I have probably felt the most comfortable in my skin as I've ever felt, to be honest. I don't worry about my physical aging anymore. I think some of my best features is when I laugh and I smile and I have laugh lines and I have wrinkles, because they show like I've lived a life and that I have experienced stuff. And same with the stretch marks on my body, like they represent a time where I had a child and I've brought this wonderful young man into the world and who he is now, and that makes me proud. Those are the things that make me proud. So I'm not at all, I don't feel any pressure to feel younger than I am, because that would be untrue to who I am.
What advice would you give to your younger self about aging?
Don't try and want to grow up too quickly. Just really live in the moment that you've got and be happy about those experiences that you have at those times in your life. That's probably one of the biggest things. Don't try and rush it, I guess.
So those were all my questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
It's quite freeing to be able to talk about these experiences that you have in your life and what beauty means. And also like, since I got the questions, had been reflecting on like a lot of this stuff and showed it to my older sister, and she was like, oh, I'd be so interested in hearing that. And actually it would be interesting to kind of see side by side like how her experience of like has been shaped compared to mine, because I'm watching her grow and thinking, God, I've always thought she's so beautiful, but you know, I don't know what's influenced her or shaped her. And that, I guess, is not a conversation that we'd ever had. So, yeah.